Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. This is video number 2 of guessing your number 1 book of the year based on your number 2 through 10 picks for 2024. I have a spreadsheet that my channel members are submitting their favorites to, and I'm grabbing things from there. This is a premiere, so if you're here for the premiere, feel free to, or encouraged to put in the comments what you think people's favorite is, while I also guess. Last time I got 3.5 points and I did 13 people. This time I'm gonna go to 20, and I hope that I can at least match what I did last time, because that was wild that I got any right at all. I select a whole bunch of people randomly, and then I curate it down to see what would actually make for an interesting, like if there's anything that I can grasp onto, any themes. I also want to have some people in here who have a lot in common with me, because when I reveal their number 1 favorite to you and myself, I might have to read that in my reading members favorites vlog coming up in January. But also I got this one suggestion that was like, make sure you pick somebody who has the least in common with you. So I scoured and tried to find that as well. There was one person who said it would be fun to try to take someone's top 10 and put them in the proper order. And I thought that was such a good idea, but a bunch of people commented and said that they didn't actually put their favorites in order. So it wouldn't work out unless some people confirmed with me they did in fact put them from 1 to 10 properly. Anyway, we're gonna start with Jordan, because Jordan was in the premiere as we were doing this last time, and I saw them join or rejoin the membership as the live show was going on and submit to the spreadsheet immediately. So Jordan, this list is intriguing to me. I haven't looked into what any of these are, and I haven't read any of them. So for the person who asked me to do someone who has nothing in common with me, here we go. I do have some of these on my TBR, but the majority of them I haven't heard of. And in fact, I'm pretty certain half of these are not out yet. Serial Killer Support Group, Boys with Sharp Teeth, and Kill Creatures are 2025 releases. So this is someone with some early access to books, and this is some good recommendations for the upcoming year. I definitely want to read Kill Creatures. Boys with Sharp Teeth, if that's YA, I think it is gonna be YA. Otherwise, I really would have wanted to read that. Maybe I still will, but I think Jordan wants to throw me off and is choosing something definitely that's a 2025 release that there's no way I could possibly guess. And since we kind of have similar tastes, like the first title on here, I could definitely see myself picking up something called that. I need to look into it. Kill Creatures is on my TBR, Attempted to Tea is on my TBR. It seems like vampire-y stuff here. There's some stuff I definitely wouldn't read, but I think I just need to look at my own Goodreads list of things coming out in 2025 and grabbing 3 guesses from that. If you weren't here last time, if I get my number 1 guess correct, I get a point. If it's the other 2 that I throw ideas out there for, I get half a point. So the 2025 releases, I think, I don't think anything past like July or August, you are probably getting your hands on an ARC quite yet. So things that have come out before summer 2025. Girl in the Creek by Wendy Wagner could definitely fit in here. Okay, I'll throw The Night and the Moth out there. There's mysteries on here. Okay, so maybe The Last Session by Julia Bartz, This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I think thriller fantasy has to be my guesses. So Girl in the Creek is my number 1. Maybe Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil if they got their hands on that this early. And let's throw the new Gillian McAllister, Famous Last Words. I have no reason for any of these. I just want to know what Jordan's favorite is. This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. Okay, I mentioned it. It wasn't an official guess, but so no points for me. That's good to know. Not that I can figure out if our tastes align based on this, but I'm excited to be reading that. Jordan has read 275 books so far this year. That is, I think, the highest we have seen. Shout out to Jordan. They shared their Goodreads, but no other socials. All right, moving on to Shannon. Shannon has 3 Stephen Kings on here, 11/22/63, Pet Sematary, and The Long Walk, which I also have read recently, like reread, or 11/22/63 was only, maybe it was like 10 years ago actually. But those are ones that I like, and there's also Knock Knock Open Wide here, which I love. The Night Guest, which I liked. Magnolia Park. Magnolia Parks is definitely throwing me off. The rest is like darker. Oh, there's like animal cruelty here. So Shannon does not stay away from that. Dinner for Vampires, I don't actually know what that is, but I've seen it around. I don't think it's is that somebody who's been on a vampire show? I think that's what it is. You've Lost a Lot of Blood. We're doing like bloody things and a lot that I liked. Because of The Night Guest and Pet Sematary, I think Cujo wouldn't be a crazy guess. I don't know if I've ever met anybody who said Cujo was their favorite book from Stephen King. If you liked all of these books and you're not squeamish, I might recommend Lapfona to you, which I didn't like, but I could see Shannon liking. There being a romance on here is very interesting and makes me think I want to combine all of these things, like the romance and the dark killer stuff. So maybe Butcher and Blackbird is Shannon's favorite. If I want to lean into the vampire stuff, Vampires of El Norte, again, because there's like a little romance on here, I might recommend a historical, because there is historical. If there's another Stephen King I could think of, it would be probably Gerald's Game I would recommend to this reader. I don't know. I also just want to throw out like Monstrilio and The Eyes of the Best Part and Mayfly and other horror things that I've loved, along with Knock Knock Open Wide and You've Lost a Lot of Blood. I definitely have to commit to a Stephen King. So I'm going to say, I guess I'm going to say Cujo. Oh wait, my number 2 pick is actually going to be Tender as the Flesh. That fits here, don't you think? And then Vampires of El Norte. I might be totally off, but there's just like bloody vampire vibes here. Oh God. Okay, Shannon. Ooh. Okay. It's On Writing by Stephen King. Ugh. You know what? Maybe I actually could have gotten there if I took a little more time, because there is a nonfiction and nonfiction plus Stephen King. It's Stephen King's nonfiction, On Writing. Darn it. Shannon has read 114 books. My Thrilling Library is their Instagram. Thank you so much for submitting, Shannon. Next, we are gonna go on to Amanda. Amanda also has a Magnolia Parks on here. It's the, I don't know which one that is, Into the Dark? And it might look fantasy. Magnolia Parks is not fantasy. The covers are just like weird. There's also, okay, so it's just like romance. Sometimes romance in a fantasy setting, sometimes not. There's also a lot of sequels here. I think The Stolen Heir is a sequel. The Poppy War is the first one, I think. Hero of Ages has to be a sequel. Magnolia Parks is Jade Legacy. I don't know if that's the second or third. Torch Against the Night. I don't know if that's the second, third, fourth. So we definitely like sequels, but also You Again and Reckless. Reckless might be a sequel or part of a companion series. I'm just yapping because I don't see anything. I don't know. There's like way too many options. I did like Throne of the Fallen. That's the only thing here that I've read, but I will read that Magnolia Parks one day. For some reason, I'm thinking a Lila Sage. I don't know if that makes any sense here, but those are also like companion kind of cowboy romances, so I can't commit to, I guess Swift and Saddled, is that the newest one? I'm gonna say that. I would take a book from all of these series and say those, but I feel like maybe Amanda just wanted to highlight one book from each series, and even if Magnolia Parks was great, like wouldn't put Magnolia Parks or wouldn't put Throne of Secrets, but maybe would double up on an author, so I kind of want to say Air by Seppa Tahir. I'm thinking more authors than books because I don't really know anything about Sarah J Maas, or I want to say maybe Rebecca Ross, the Divine, whatever that series is called. So I'm just going to put the latest Sarah J Maas and Divine whatever, because that seems to fit with this reader, I think. I can't figure out if I want to say it's romantasy or contemporary romance. So this is just what we're gonna go with. House of Flame and Shadow. Is that the Sarah J Maas? House of Flame and Shadow. It is. That's the one that I edited in, and the one that I was thinking of, those in the Goodreads Choice Awards. Crescent City number 3. Okay, I don't know anything about anything. I got that right. I'll give myself half a point because I don't think I committed to a certain order in my head, but I know you saw them in a certain order. Amanda Didn't Show Their Handle has read 281 books. Oh wow, I am pulling people who are doing big numbers. Next up, we've got Kayla. I grabbed Kayla because I wanted to fulfill the idea of somebody who does not have anything in common with me. I have read Funny Story, but I didn't love it. I DNF'd The Women, Incidents Around the House, and Bury Your Gaze. Also, their number 2 pick is a road trip story, which I don't read. There's historical fiction on here. I think that's a graphic novel, and that's like book 6 in a monster romance. So this is just, it's not the opposite of my taste, like I hated them all, but it's things that I wouldn't read. And so that makes choosing the number 1 pick very difficult for Kayla. But I think what I have to do is I just have to think of things that I also wouldn't read or haven't liked. So if we're looking at the horror stuff, a popular horror this year is Diabola, which I didn't love, so I want to throw that out there. If we're looking at fantasy stuff, Education and Malice I didn't love, or the Leigh Bardugo, The Familiar, because that's historical and like dark fantasy. So that makes sense here, I think. It's hard when I have so many ideas just to commit to 3 things. I'm guessing it's gonna be something that I've never heard of, because 4 of these I have never heard of. They do have a really large range of genres here. So if I were just to throw in a mystery, maybe None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. If I were to throw in a romantasy, I would say like Assistant to the Villain is something I didn't like that maybe they loved, or Bride. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. I don't have a good guess, but I'm gonna put Diavola as my top one because that's the only thing that I can really think of, and I just wanna know. Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. Okay, I definitely, well, yeah, that is something that I don't want to read. So could I have come up with that? No, there's not enough fantasy here that I would have gone there. Okay, good to know. Happy to see it. No points for me. 214 books you've read so far this year. Okay, amazing. Let's move on to something that I do know something about, and that's Eva's List. Weird Girls Unite. I love Eva's List. I have never heard of that last one, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I haven't finished One's Company. Lost in the Garden is on my TBR. Private Rights is on my TBR. My Husband I didn't love, but I see why people think that I would. Blue Book of Nebo, obsessed with. The Writing Retreat, obsessed with. Out There, obsessed with. The Book of the Most Precious Substance, obsessed with. So I think it has to be something that I loved. Her number 1 pick obviously has to be something that I loved. I want to say the Paul Bearers Club for some reason, but it's probably just because of the color scheme. So you need that to leave my head. Speaking of me being obsessed with these books, a lot of these books are about obsession, and I need to think about that. Also, these covers are all really beautiful, so I need to think about that. That's okay. What would I recommend to this reader? That's the question. That's how I get the right answer. I would probably recommend Monstrilio. I would recommend Bunny. I would recommend The Husbands, because like some of these, it's not particularly romantic, but there is couplings. Ooh, another one that could be good is Nothing to See Here, but again, maybe it's just the colors and I'm just thinking of something that would look really good with this palette. Ooh, maybe Death in Her Hands. Death in Her Hands could fit with these, following like a woman who's just like obsessing over something. Some of these have kind of low average ratings, so We Spread would also be a good one. I would recommend We Spread to this reader. It would also look good in this stack. The Husbands, Death in Her Hands, and We Spread. Oh God, am I gonna be so off? I want a point so bad. Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez. Oh, that's such a good one. Yeah, this list didn't lead me to think like really long fantasy horror, because there's short stories here, there's short novels here. This is a weird list, but a lot of it is on the fun side, like the writing of it is fun. And Our Share of Night is, I totally agree, 4.5 stars for me. And it does look pretty good with this aesthetic. Okay, Eva, we're going on to Eden. Eden has a lot, not exclusively, mostly romance. This is another person I don't really have much in common with. I've read Interesting Facts About Space. I didn't love it. I've read Ali Hazelwood before. I've read Abby Jimenez before. I've read Casey McQuiston. I've read another book from Nora Sakovic. So I have experience here generally, but not these specific books. A lot of them are 2024 releases, so I think I just need to pick a 2024 release. The obvious thing missing from here is Funny Story. I would imagine this reader loves Funny Story. So that's gonna be my number 1. There's also a lot of like queer representation here though. Maybe that Allison Cochran we saw in Kayla's list, I could imagine here. Or, oh, Heartstopper. On the off chance that they also read Romantasy, I might say The Honey Witch, but I'm gonna say that Allison Cochran and just hope that that one is a new release that like everybody is loving. Okay, Eden, let's see. Funny Story, Emily Henry. Okay, my first instinct was correct. Eden has also read a fair amount of books, 130. And Funny Story totally makes sense. I just think that's a good guess if somebody has a bunch of romance and Funny Story isn't on there. It's a popular romance. So it just makes sense. 1.5 points for me. We're moving on to Disha. Disha, very different vibe. What I like about Disha's is there's 3 Binti books on here. There's 2 of The Fourth Wing, and then we have A Harrow the Ninth, Brides of High Hill, Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and the wizardy one by Terry Goodkind. So Disha doesn't mind putting multiple series, multiple authors, which makes this an easy guess for Gideon the Ninth. Like Gideon the Ninth would fit here so easily. In every case, Disha has put the first book in the series higher than the next one. So that would make sense for Gideon the Ninth to also be in the first place. But it could be a situation where Disha read that years ago and is just getting around to Hair of the Ninth now. Same with Brides of High Hill. I could put like the first, did they also read The Empress of Salt and Fortune or another one in the series before? I guess there's a chance Daughter of the Moon Goddess, the sequel, is number one, but I just can't, I don't see that being shuffled that way. I could also imagine like any other fantasy series on here though. We could see, oh, the 5th season. Oh my God, the 5th season. Okay, I only need 2 guesses. The 5th season and Gideon the Ninth. Am I gonna kick my own ass after this? Disha, Little Women! What are we doing, Disha? Disha's read 15 books this year. Okay, so Disha is getting through these series and also either read Little Women for the first time. Oh, there's a photo. That edition of Little Women, that edition of Daughter of the Moon Goddess is so pretty. Disha, thank you so much for sending this over. I would never have guessed that. No, I wouldn't, and neither did any of you. There's not a chance. I love this. Was this a reread for you, or was this the first time that you read it? Obsessed. I don't even care that I got that wrong. Let's get one right. That next though. This is Hannah. Now, my question is this in order? Because if it's not, and in fact you're like Dream Thieves and Blue Lily Blue might be 2 and 3, it's easy. Is this like a gimme? Is this just like, obviously it's the Raven Boys? You read the Raven Boys, put it in your number 1 spot, and then you just like typed in all the rest. I can imagine that happening. Like somebody typing in the spreadsheet, they go, oh, the Raven Boys was my all-time favorite, number 1. And then they're like, oh, I also loved Kindred. I also love Natural Beauty, My Brilliant Friend, the 5th season, Dowry of Blood, Sour of Land, The Center, Blue, Dream Thieves. Wait, I have read so much in common. Wait, I've read everything here. I didn't love My Brilliant Friend, but we have 8 out of these 9 in common. So if Hannah's favorite is something that I've loved, I have nothing to read from this list. I have no recommendations to take, which is sad. Actually, maybe Hannah, if I have read your top favorite, maybe you could comment your number like 11 through 20 picks, and then I could pick something from that. Because most of these were 5 stars for me, which is amazing. I'm just gonna say the Raven Boys, but I need to pick some secondary options. So this is primarily about women entering into strange environments, like Natural Beauty and The Center especially. I would really recommend to the same reader, and I would recommend those alongside like Rouge by Mona Awad, which I didn't love, but I think people totally could. I would recommend House of Hunger. I would recommend Catherine House. I can't imagine Catherine House being someone's number 1, so I'm gonna say House of Hunger, and what did I just say? Rouge. If Hannah happened to grab all of those things, I would imagine they would be favorites after the Raven Boys. There's no way this isn't the Raven Boys. Parable of the Sower. You know what? I should have thought of that. Because I loved Kindred and Parable of the Sower and read them within like a year of each other. And I understand why other people would also love those and mention those in tandem. Did you read the Raven Boys in a different year, or did you not like the Raven Boys? Now I need to know. Oh, I should have thought of that. I bet somebody in the comments thought of that. Okay. Benjamin was also in the chat while I was doing the premiere last time. This is a really interesting list of things. I loved Leech, Beneath the Sugar Sky, Hawk Mountain was really interesting. I loved As a Teenage Slasher. At its time, Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe was a good one for me. There's definitely a lot of queer representation here. And just like strange things. Strange plots, but also just strange writing. And so I need to think of something for Benjamin that has a strange authorial voice. I've never heard of Pray for Him, and I think I've seen Now Conjurers around. Moonbound by Robin Sloan is something that I think I need to read. It just sounds so strange. Quests, okay? This is giving quest. There's some like witchy wizard stuff here, cosmic things, sci-fi a little bit. I kind of want to say The Darkness Outside Us, that comes to mind for like queer sci-fi. Gideon the Ninth, or How We Lose the Time War. Don't Let the Forest In as a queer YA horror. I think Now Conjurers is horror, and Leech reads horror, and I Was a Teenage Slasher is horror. Also, if you want something like a little more beautiful, The Vanished Birds, I think I wouldn't be surprised if that was someone's number one. So I'm gonna say The Vanished Birds, Gideon the Ninth, and Don't Let the Forest In. Oh God, I'm gonna be dead wrong, but we're gonna learn something about Benjamin. Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Not only did I like that novella, but it fits here. It's like weird, it's claustrophobic, great pick. There is a novella on here, but I wouldn't have thought of a horror novella. I don't think with all the time in the world, I would have gotten to that point. Benjamin has nothing to share. As far as social media, they have read 106 books, and I love it. I'm glad that you found so many favorites. Next, let's move to Maggie. Hey, we've got Gideon the Ninth here. Maggie has historical classics, fantasy that came out like 5 to 10 years ago. The Vanishing Half, I'm Glad My Mom Died, Regretting Motherhood, A Study, and the class, oh, Crime and Punishment. Crime and Punishment is haunting me. Get that away from me. And Emma, and A Lady for a Duke. Maggie, there's some mommy issues here. Let's get that out of the way. First Instinct, The Mothers by Britt Bennett. Because if you mix some of these books with The Vanishing Half, another Britt Bennett. I think Maggie is just a very normal reader. Do you know what I mean? There's some of us who are strange, who are in niches, who are chronically online. Maggie is not chronically online. Maggie is reading classics because it was a goal of Maggie's to read some classics this year. You know, their coworker recommended them The Vanishing Half, and then their professor, because Maggie's in school, recommended Regretting Motherhood, and Maggie is in their 20s and grew up with Jeanette McCurdy and wanted to read that memoir. And then Six of Crows and Gideon the Ninth are just like really classic, recommendable things, just like good solid books, you know, that the general public likes and would recommend, and you don't want to waste your time trying to find like strange little things. So something I would recommend to like a normal average reader is probably Madeline Miller. I think that would fit well with Carry On being on here too. So I'm gonna say Song of Achilles. But if we're talking mommy issues, Circe. As far as like beloved SFF though, Red Rising. So I'm gonna say Song of Achilles, Circe, or Handmaid's Tale. Don't ask me why that just popped in my head, but I think it checks out. The Picture of Dorian Gray. Yeah, it's another good classic, especially if you have a couple classics at the end of your list. You might want to pop one in first position. That makes sense to me. I love Picture of Dorian Gray, and it's an easily recommendable one. Maggie, solid taste. Maggie's read 19 books this year. Their Instagram looks to be empty, so I don't know. Maggie's just a normal girl reading normal books, getting recommendations from real life people. That's what I think. All right, we're moving into the second half of today's 20, and I have 1.5 points. Somebody said on the last video that I should create some kind of stakes. So for example, if I beat my score from last time, then I get to, you know, cut a book out of the TBR that I'm building for reading members' favorites. So basically getting to veto having to read Crime and Punishment. I don't think I'm gonna get, I would have to get 4 points today. And yes, I have more people, but I would need 2.5 more correct guesses. We're gonna go to Dominique. Dominique, maybe I could get, because this is stuff mostly that I've read. It's all stuff that I've heard of. We've got Things I Love, Comfort Me with Apples, Bloom, Tender as the Flesh, The Eyes Are the Best Part, and Bunny. And then things that I liked, We Need to Do Something. I didn't love The Troop. I didn't love This Is Where We Talk Things Out, but I definitely recommend it. Mother Thing, I've heard so much about. I think Dominique has a thing for cannibalism. Yeah, I think we can all recognize that. And maybe Dominique is a little self-aware of this cannibalism situation and has read like the nonfiction book about cannibalism, because I've seen some people reading that lately. But what I actually think would be a good guess is probably another cannibalism book, like A Certain Hunger. I also think Brother would make sense here, because there's horror and there's also a lot of like family dynamics amongst these reads. You know, confronting motherhood, confronting your mother in a cabin where she's recreated your childhood home, being stuck with your mother in a bathroom. There's also like there's definitely some gross stuff here. So Dominique is not squeamish. I might say Mayfly. Like I said before, I always think of the eyes of the best part in Mayfly together because of the eyeball and the like serial killer nature of it. Natural Beauty also really comes to mind with the things that are featured here. But if I'm also just thinking about how many favorites we have in common, I might say I Was a Teenage Slasher, especially with some men being on the list. That wouldn't be a crazy guess. So we're gonna say A Certain Hunger, even though I didn't like it. Number 2 is gonna be Mayfly, because if it is that and I didn't guess it, I'm gonna be pissed off. I'm gonna go with Natural Beauty. If you're getting recommendations from me, Dominique, that would be my list. Oh, Dominique, please. Intercepts. Intercepts? Okay, maybe Dominique also watches BookTube outside of just me. I'm pretty sure Gabby read that, and now I can't remember if she loved it. Does this need to be on my TBR? It's sci-fi. Okay, Gabby gave it a 3. Erin gave it a 3. I feel like somebody I know had a really strong feeling about this one. Okay, that being Dominique's number 1 with all these other things that I loved on their list is very intriguing to me. Instagram, That's So Dom, 70 books so far this year. Amazing, Dominique. Love to hear it. Mariana, really great color scheme. Reds and blues and yellows. This is very primary colors. I think I have to guess something that's a primary color. Okay, what's actually here? We've got a lot of things that, no, a few things I've loved. The Adventures of Mina El-Sarafi, Come For Me With Apples, Nothing to See Here, Babel, and Strong Female Character. These are a lot of stories. When you talk about Carrie Soto is back, and that one in the middle, How to Make Herself Agreeable, is a memoir. And Biography of X, we're talking about women finding out what they like care about, finding out about their passions, maybe confronting who they used to be. So like changing life paths, or there's a lot of like older characters here reflecting on I imagine the person in the middle maybe is in like the spotlight, because there's a lot of stories here that feel like public perception and challenging that and who you are and what you actually care about beyond how people see you. What I would recommend to this reader might be that new Kiki Palmer, Master of Me, because it's about like finding your place and I don't know, making space for yourself. I haven't read it, but I love Kiki Palmer. I don't know if that is what I would guess here, because it's not like mostly celebrity memoirs. If we're talking about a little bit of fame and public perception, like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo would make sense. Also, Lessons in Chemistry. I don't know if that one totally checks out, but I could see that on this person's list, and I think the cover is red, so we're gonna go with that one. Priory of the Orange Tree, I often see mentioned in tandem with, what's that one called? The Sun, When She Became the Sun. Maybe I'm also ignoring how much fantasy is on here. If I were to say a fantasy book, well, that one I just mentioned, this reader could like something like, I mean, there's cozier things on here. So like Legends and Lattes, is that a crazy one? Lessons in Chemistry, She Who Became the Sun, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Mariana, The House of Spirits by Isabel Allende. Never in my life have I heard of that. Let's see if it fits with the things that I just said I think that this reader likes. A tapestry of 3 generations of the Truba family, revealing both triumphs and tragedies. Follows an ambitious girl who will lead the family and their country into a revolutionary future. The setting is Chile, and the cover, you know what? If I got one thing right, it's primary colors. All 3 of the primary colors on that cover. What's up? Mariana has read 118 things. No points for me. Here's Vanessa. Vanessa, unlike most people here, I don't recognize anything. Well, I recognize one, Going Bovine. I know Going Bovine, I've read that. The rest of this, Wyvern's Gold, no clue. Echo in Time, no clue. Little Beach Street Bakery. Memoirs of a Geisha, okay, sorry, I've heard of that, I just haven't read it. Super Boba Cafe. I don't know, that's manga. The Emily Starr series. Oh, that's Emily of New Moon by L.M. Montgomery. I guess I have heard of that. And An American Beauty. Vanessa shops exclusively in Little Free Libraries. I feel like this is the type of like thing you see when you open one of those. It's just like the most strange variety of things from the strangest variety of people. And it's just like all over the place. I don't know what's happening here. Little Beach Street Bakery is such an interesting book to be in a top 10 list. The vibes of these covers feel like books that were all published at least, 15 years ago. This could throw me completely for a loop if their number one is like a brand new 2024 release that I like love and have read. But I think I just have to guess something that was popular 15 years ago. So I'm gonna say a Nicholas Sparks. I'm not gonna pick a certain one. If I guess Nicholas Sparks and I'm right, I think I get a point. Something else popular around this time, like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, or White Oleander. That's something, and Sarah's Key. Those are things I always see in little free libraries. My number one guess actually is gonna be Pachinko, because there's historical here and there's books by Asian authors, and I think Vanessa might have read Pachinko. Pachinko, Nicholas Sparks, White Oleander. I don't have good reasons, I just want to know. Snowflower and the Secret Fan. What a title. Oh, this is, wait, is this a new release? No, it's from 2005. This is the same author who wrote Shanghai Girls and Lady Tan's Circle of Women. But, oh, this is her most popular and I've never actually heard of it. Maybe I've just seen a different cover? No, I don't know. 19th Century China. Okay, well, you know what? I got some kind of vibe. I never would have gotten there. Vanessa has read 175 books this year. I'll be honest, Vanessa, I felt like maybe you read just those 10. Now I need to look at your Instagram. I love it. I love that you know what you're into. Your Instagram is private, so I can't get a vibe, but shout out to you and your reads. Let's move on to someone I can guess. Oh God. Is this someone? Josie? Okay. Josie, I'm just gonna guess that's Sarah J Maas again, because there's two Sarah J Maases on here: Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath, and the third one, whatever it was called. That makes sense. We've got Mistborn, we've got Percy Jackson, The Wall of Ascension, Golden Sun, The Wheel of Time, Lord of Chaos. I don't know how, like what order those books go in. But then we also have just a romance with Unsteady. So there's also the chance that number one is just another romance. This one is, I imagine, a hockey romance. So maybe I'll just put another hockey romance. Maybe you're in your hockey romance era. But also it just could be another Brandon Sanderson. It could be Red Rising. It could be, yeah, okay. My second guess is gonna be, that's book 1 and 2 of Mistborn, I think. So I'm just gonna throw another Mistborn in there. I don't know, either way it's gonna be wrong. Do I care? The Hero of Ages, Brandon Sanderson. Is that the one that I put on the screen? Yes! That's Mistborn number 3. I just got a point. Did I? No, I got half a point. Okay. Josie, have you just not read the next Sarah J Maas in the series, or did you just hate it? Let me know. Josie read 35 books this year. Instagram is Josie Moon. Okay, next up, Kathleen. Kathleen has more primary colors. Yeah, red, yellow, blue. Ooh, the 5th season and the Stone Sky. Okay, interesting. So the Obelisk Gate would actually look really nice with this color scheme because role-playing has those like burgundy purple vibes. So maybe Kathleen was looking for a balance. Earthbound Hearts I've never heard of. Horror movie I loved. They Can't Kill Us Till They Kill Us. Liked it. Know My Name. Loved it. Okay, so we've got some nonfiction here. The Eyes of the Best Part. Love that. I've Never Known Men. Love that. And of course I adore the 5th season. I can't actually imagine somebody saying that the Obelisk Gate is their favorite book in the series. And again, though, this might not be in order. So I have to throw that on here just in not the first position. I think my first position guess has to be something that I loved because there are things that I love here. Dystopian, horror. I think what's missing here is like general fiction. And so Yellowface, I feel like this reader might enjoy because there's like romance and horror and science fiction, fantasy and nonfiction, and Yellowface, Chlorine. Those are things that come to mind and they fit the color scheme that I've invented in my mind that this person is leaning towards. And then the Obelisk Gate. I don't know. Ripe? Okay. Oh, that one really does fit with the colors. Yeah, you're right. Ripe. Actually, like, yeah, that is on the same wavelength as what I was thinking with Yellowface and Chlorine. More general fiction stuff, because that's not what this list is focused on, but I feel like that's what's missing from it, and this type of reader would definitely read something like Ripe. Kathleen has read 76 books so far this year, and they have a bookish Instagram. Liru reads. Moving on to Bailey. Bailey is somebody I was thinking of who has a different taste from me that I thought to highlight, but then I noticed that their number 2 and 3 picks were both Veronica Speedwell, and that's very much my speed. I didn't like Bride and I didn't like Cackle, and I wouldn't read The Cruel Prince, probably not Forget Me Not, or The Succubus's Prize, or maybe Electric Idol. There are 2 Katie Robert here. I could throw a Katie Robert. I could also throw a Veronica Speedwell. Like, did Bailey read A Curious Beginning and love that? Wait, this is number, ooh, I don't know. I think this is number 3 and 5 of the Veronica Speedwell series. There's the red and black one is the one that's missing. So that could be a favorite. That would make sense. We've got historical, we've got fantasy, we've got horror, but it's more fantasy adjacent. There is romance featured in all of these, so I need to keep that in mind. So one guess is going to be a Veronica Speedwell. Then I'm going to put Quicksilver on here because I just feel like it fits with the vibe of some of these like grittier romantices. Let's do some more general romance because there is just contemporary romance in here. I think, what's it called? The Fake Mate. That one makes sense here, I think. Bailey. What are you into, Bailey? Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Okay. I'm not disappointed. I'm disappointed that I'm wrong. I'm not disappointed in what you're reading. Totally think Hopeless is something a lot of people are really into, and I wouldn't have guessed that one. I should have. Bailey's read 172 books so far. Oh, this is Bookish Bay. I know Bookish Bay. I accidentally called them Balin for a minute because I was like, what does Bay stand for? What could that be short for in a live show? I remember it well. I couldn't come up with Bailey. I came up with Balin. Let's continue with Sasha. Sasha is a weird girl after my own heart. Okay, we have Hum, which I'm dying to read because I love Helen Phillips. The Memory Police, What Feasts at Night is a sequel to a book that I liked just fine. The Truth That Never Hurts is an interesting insertion in here. Cursed, read by Sophie McIntosh. I haven't read, but I've read from that author. The Prophets I've heard of. We've got Frankenstein and a Frankenstein like side quest retelling, Ein Hollow, that I loved. And I Guessed in the House, which I'm imagining is a graphic novel because that's by Emily Carroll. So Sasha likes gothic stuff for sure, and stories of like control, like government control, town control, historical, like being pressured into doing something, and probably people like finding their way out of it. That's what I see here. So I think Our Missing Hearts could fit in well here. I also think another Sophie McIntosh, like The Water Cure, would make sense. Things that I would recommend that I loved that maybe aren't like this perfect vibe, but they are like small town control stories. They're more fantastical, or like witchy, is Slewfoot. I think this reader could like Slewfoot or The Year of the Witching. Those are things that I recommend in tandem a lot. Maybe another Frankenstein retelling. Like maybe that's what Sasha's in her bag doing right now. Oh, what about The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein? I've read that. Or Frankenstein in Baghdad. I kind of want to say The Handmaid's Tale. Like if you haven't already read that, that would fit for this reader. Little Eyes, for some reason, maybe it's because of the cover of Hum and the idea of surveillance. I'm thinking of Little Eyes. Let's send it. Where I End by Sophie White. Oh, I should have thought of that. Oh, I'm mad. That lime green looks so good with this. That is one. Fuck. No, because I should have thought of that. I really should have thought of that. That one, definitely about getting control of your life, having to take care of your like dying mother who There's some weird stuff happening. It's like on a small island. Oh my God, I would totally recommend Where I End for fans of Ein Hollow. I wasn't thinking of books that I actively disliked. That's my bad. Sasha's taste is solid. 225 books so far they have read this year. Like I said, I'm picking the big readers. Okay, let's move on to Lara. Lara is our third last one. Lara has read a lot of mystery and thrillers. Scanning through the spreadsheet, there wasn't a ton, like most people have maybe one or two mystery or thrillers, but not a majority. Very few people had a majority. So I like this because it gives me things to think about in a different arena. We've got books that I loved, again. Everyone I was trained as a suspect, I was a teenage slasher. Oh yeah, just those two. But then we have definitely some mystery things, and the covers are all very boldly graphic. So the Cherrywood Murders, How to Solve Your Own Murder, The Examiner, The Treasure Hunters Club. And then we also have Bright Young Women that is on a lot of people's favorites this year. Mame, which I haven't read yet, but I need to. And then we have The Third Gilmore Girl. So I'm thinking like a fun, Vera Wong. Vera Wong instantly comes to mind. There's mystery here. And then because you liked Kelly Bishop's, maybe like you'd like an older protagonist, maybe actually a Richard Osman could make sense here as well. But also with these covers, Last Murder at the End of the World would definitely fit in. But that one is on like the speculative side. So I don't know if that would be, well, maybe because I Was a Teenage Slasher is here. I wouldn't be surprised if God of the Woods was here just because it's a really popular mystery from this year. And I really liked it. We're going Vera Wong, God of the Woods, Last Murder at the End of the World. Just because. Part of me thinks maybe like The Golden Spoon. There's probably a lot of like fun, cozy, adjacent mysteries that I could think of, but let's find out. Why Didn't They Ask Evans by Agatha Christie. I guess I could have thought of an Agatha Christie. I would never have picked the right one. Oh wow, this never ever would have come to mind. I think though, like with all of these books here, you could imagine this person loves also classic mysteries, and who writes the most classic mysteries? Agatha Christie. That's my mistake. But I wouldn't have found my way to this book. Lara has read 196 books this year. Wow, you guys. Okay, we have 2 people left and I have to get 2 points. So I have to get both of these completely correct. Savannah. I am interested in Savannah's because there's stuff, I've read everything here. Maybe that's why I'm interested in it. I've read The Book Thief and didn't love it. Dead 11 should have been a favorite book of mine. I gave it a 3.75. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing I should have loved. I only gave it like a 3, maybe I gave it a 2. But then I did love Kindred, Trust the Emerald Sea, The Only Good Indians, I Was a Teenage Slasher, How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. I haven't seen that on enough people's lists, and I need to push it more upon people because it's weird and it's fun. These are weird and fun, mostly weird and fun. So that's what I need to think about. When I see Dead 11 conceptually, I also think of Book of Doors and Ascension because I gave them the same rating and they were both set up to be my perfect books, and then they weren't. And I would describe them as weird and fun. Like they're conceptually great. I also have to think about things naturally that play with time because that is a thing in multiple books here. Ministry of Time would make a lot of sense because it's like a favorite of everybody's this year. The Husbands was a favorite of mine and it plays with time. There's a lot of male authors on this list. So maybe it's like Dark Matter. Maybe Savannah got around to Dark Matter and that sparked this like love of science fiction and time looping stuff. The Midnight Library also would make a lot of sense because a lot of people love that. Una Out of Order. House of Leaves. House of Leaves. I would love to see someone with House of Leaves as their favorite. Oh my God, there's too many. I have so many recommendations for this person. Several people are typing. The Echo Wife. What do I do? How do I commit? Here's what I think. I just listed, 12 books. If any of them are right, I think I get a point. I just want to end up with a point. No, that doesn't make sense that I would do that. The Husbands, Book of Doors, House of Leaves. Is that crazy? Savannah? The Haunting of Velkwood is such a great pick. That's in my top 5 of the year. I didn't Oh my God, of course it fucking plays with time. What is wrong with me today? Not only did I not list that in my 3, but not even in the 20. I would have probably taken a point if anything that I mentioned was in there. Oh my God, I hate this for me. Okay, whatever. Let's move on to the last one. The Savannah's read 117 books this year. Now, we're moving on lastly to Samir. I feel like Samir's fucking with me. Samir has some all-time favorites of mine. All-time favorites. And then number 2 is Eat the Rich by Sarah Gailey, and it has an eyeball on the cover. And it's a Sarah Gailey, an author that I like. I've never even heard of this, and I'm pretty sure it's a graphic novel. So the facts are, there are 8 books here that I loved. Okay, 1 I gave a 4. So I have to read Eat the Rich in my members' favorites, especially if Samir's number 1 is something that I love. And now I'm convinced that it is, and it's not just gonna be something I love, it's gonna be like an all-time favorite. So Samir's number 1, they didn't even share an Instagram handle. So this might just be a fake person who really wanted me to read Eat the Rich and just like pretended these were their favorites. It's a conspiracy that I believe in. I'm gonna say Monstrilio. I think Monstrilio makes sense here. It was an all-time favorite. It has commentary that the books here have. It has the queerness element. If it's not that, I'm gonna say maybe Leech, because Leech also makes sense with some of these, the science fiction, gender expression. And then I also think like maybe How High We Go in the Dark. I don't know why that one came to mind, because it's sci-fi, it has interesting things to say. I would recommend it maybe to this reader. That one just popped into my mind, and I don't care. I'm just so interested to know, because when I selected this person randomly, I like scanned through, and then I was like, Okay, Samir's number 1 is Babel. God damn. Okay, there was an R.F. Kuang on here, and so obviously that one totally makes sense, and it's something that I love. So now officially Samir, if you are a real person, 9 out of 10 favorites are not just things that I've read, but are things that I love. And now I have to read this weird eyeball graphic novel in my members' favorites. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm ending the video there because that's what I planned, because I wanted to know. I just had to know if this person was going to convince me to read something. There's a few other people on the spreadsheet who, scanning through, I mean, I've hidden all of their ones from myself, but scanning through, I've noticed we have a lot in common, 7, 8, and 9 books. So I have a lot of things to choose from, and I need to figure out how I'm gonna do it. Somebody actually left a comment and was like, I think this year need to just focus on 5 stars. Because in the past, anything that I have in common with somebody's favorites that I gave 4 or 5, I count. But our tastes are aligning so much more. I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's you, but I could barely find many people on this spreadsheet who didn't have at least one thing in common with me. For the amount of people who comment and say like, oh, we have nothing in common, we don't read anything similarly, I don't get recommendations from you, I just like love your content, thank you. But we have so much in common. Maybe it's just the people who chose to fill out the spreadsheet, but my goodness, the amount of favorites that I've been keeping track of over the past couple days to start to get this list together, there's so many of them. And I think maybe I just only need to highlight 5 stars, or I need to come up with some type of mathematic equation and add up all of my star ratings and how they align with yours, and then whoever gets the highest number, I read something from their list. That's an idea to think about. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be doing this video one more time next week because I love it, even though I did terribly. I think it's fun to look at people's favorites and then feel bad about myself when I get them wrong, especially when I shouldn't have. The Haunting of Elkwood is gonna haunt me for a while to come. Okay, I'll see you next week. Well, actually, I'll see you tomorrow, but then I'll also see you next week for another one of these. Bye!